Yeah, and just in thinking about the design of the cap and trade, I think the focus really was on the large emitters, which are the utilities and the large manufacturers like cement manufacturers. So the small to mid-sized businesses and other types of manufacturing weren't really, the emissions from those types of industries are not necessarily part of the cap and trade. So that's where the voluntary action really plays an important part. So the businesses that are making the voluntary purchases or doing on-site generation will be able to impact that cap.
Now, we received a number of questions which are all relating to the relationship between RECs and carbon credits. I imagine there are a lot of people who are at various stages of informing themselves about these options and what the differences are and what complement of both or one they should use. Do you want to speak to that? I could read these long questions, but I think
Yes, I'll take a shot at that. There's been a lot of confusion lately in the marketplace about how RECs interact with carbon markets and are RECs offsets or not, what are the differences, and they're really good questions to address. RECs and carbon offsets are two different environmental commodities. RECs represent the environmental attributes of renewable energy generation. Carbon offsets represent just the carbon reduction that's created by a specific project type. And internationally, renewable energy is one of the leading project types that are the sources for carbon offsets. A key difference so if you look at the REC definitions that are in the various tracking systems in the United States, say, I'll look at the one in the West because that's the one where most of the renewable energy development in the United States is taking place. The REC definitions in that tracking system include the carbon reduction benefits of renewable energy. So that would include the same sort of characteristic that a carbon offset is representing. The key difference between a REC and a carbon offset is when you look at a carbon offset, you have to prove that the facility from which that offset is derived would not have been built had it not been for the carbon market. That is, it's not a business as usual activity, and that the existence of value for carbon was one of the key critical to the development of that facility. So when you look at the U.S. voluntary renewable energy market, and you look at and you want to buy renewable energy, it doesn't really matter if the renewable energy you're buying was from a facility that was cost effective or not. You're buying an environmentally preferred source of electricity. And you can buy it from a solar energy facility, which was very, very expensive, or you can buy it from a wind facility that was close to being able to compete in the wholesale power market. The key thing is that you're buying renewable electricity, just like you might buy recycled tissue paper or organic apples. You're buying an environmentally preferred commodity. With a carbon offset, you need to not only know that it's environmentally preferred, that it's creating an environmental benefit, but you need to know that had it not been for your purchase, that would not have happened. And so if you want to develop carbon offsets from renewable energy facilities, not only do you need to have the REC, but you need to do an analysis of the facility to make sure that that facility was really spurred by the existence of a carbon market. So that's the key difference. So the bottom line answer from our perspective is that you can derive carbon offsets from renewable energy facilities or RECs. You can't have a REC and a carbon offset for the same megawatt hour. The key thing is that to develop a carbon offset from a renewable energy facility, you have to have an additional step of evaluating whether or not that facility is additional or beyond business as usual.
As we wrap up the conversation, do you want to say anything about how you see the things unfolding in the future, maybe even at a high level over the next few years? How do you see the business of RECs changing or evolving?
Yeah, I mean, for the foreseeable future, we expect the growth in the voluntary renewable energy market to continue. We just finished verification for 2008 in the Green Energy Program and again saw, double-digit growth in the market. And this is largely driven by the increasing number of businesses who are starting to pay attention to what their environmental footprint is and also their carbon footprint. Cap and trade regulation is going to have a big impact on the demand for renewable energy. If the worst happens and cap and trade is implemented without recognizing renewable energy and energy efficiency as important ways to facilitate greenhouse gas reductions, it may be that some businesses decide they don't want to use as much renewable energy because they don't see it creating that carbon benefit. On the other hand, there are a lot of other, there's been a big focus on carbon leading up to cap and trade. There are many other benefits of buying renewable energy. You're still buying clean power without any other emissions. You're still supporting the U.S. domestic economy. You're still moving our economy away from the use of fossil fuels. And those are value propositions for renewable energy that will persist no matter what happens with cap and trade.
Okay, well, there was one last question, which is, will the slides be available? We are going to be posting a replay of this entire webinar on the Climate Earth website and also on the Center for Resource Solutions website at some point.
And we'll have the presentation available on the Center for Resource Solutions website, which is www.resource-solutions.org.
So that's our time for today. Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Jennifer. It was a great introduction to REX as well as the Green E program. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. Like I said, if you'd like to share this webinar, a recording is going to be posted probably within a week at climateearth.com. And you can get the PowerPoint at resource-solutions.org. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.